So we are back today and we are going to continue forming the bottom part of our coil weaving. You have already made the decision whether or not you wanted to make a flat piece, a raised piece with your walls going straight up, or a piece with your walls going out. This has been pretty difficult to get started, so if you need help, then once again, ask a loved one. I could meet you for a few moments to help you get started outside of the library or something. So let's go ahead and continue forming the base of our coil weaving. We started with wrapping 6 and attaching twice. And now I've moved on to wrapping 10 times and attaching twice. So I can see that I've gone about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We're gonna pull it over. Remember, we're no longer coming to the middle of our coil. We are now coming to this layer. So I'm gonna pull up, pull all the way through, and pull out. When we're pulling out, our attachment needs to come where we stopped with our wrapping. You shouldn't have your attachment, your string coming all the way over here. You've already been to that spot. Okay, attach firmly 2 times. 3 if you're concerned about how loose it is. And continue wrapping 10. Wrap 10, attach 2. I like to turn over every once in a while and just make sure that my yarn is getting close to where I stopped wrapping. If you find a part that is not fully wrapped, then whenever you come back around with your next coil, you can try to attach in that spot and then you will cover that up. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If your attachment string doesn't go where you want it to, or the last wrapping, just move it to where you need it to be. let's just take some time to continue. You're going to practice wrapping 10, attaching 2. So we have continued to wrap and attach to work on the base of our coil weaving. I'm going to stop here for just a moment because I want to look at the width of the bottom of this piece. And you can see that the base is about 4 inches. And then I gradually started building up the walls. If we were to look at the base of this piece, we could see that the base is much more wide, the diameter is bigger. So just depending once again on what you're wanting to do, I still have a ways to go. This is almost 3 inches. And so if I wanted to go maybe one more time around, I would get closer to the wide coil weaving. But for our purposes here and for the use of my bundle, I'm going to go ahead and change colors. You can see that I've ended with an attachment here, so I'm going to lay that just as we've been doing whenever we start a new piece of yarn or a new color. We're going to lay that flat. I have my new color that I'm going to start with here. I'm going to hold firmly. And I'm going to start attaching just by going over the old piece and the new piece. Remember, when you're wrapping firmly. It shouldn't be loose. You shouldn't have your fibers just kind of dangling off. This is a tight wrap. And you can see with your bundle, you can kind of manipulate it some, but whenever you come to the coil that you've been working with, it's quite hard. Okay, so 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We are still coming to the next coil over. Remember, we've stopped coming to the middle. Now that we have established that middle section, knots happen. So if that happens to you, just put down your coil for just a moment and take care of it. Pull it to the outside. Pull back up exactly where you were before and attach back out. Now you can see that with the color change, you're going to start creating that color change with your attachment. So if you were using a new color, then you're going to start, that part of the pattern is going to start being evident. Pull to the outside. And you're just going to continue doing what you were doing with your original color. This yarn that I've purchased is a little more thick than the red. It's also got a different kind of sheen to it compared to the red. And you can see some of those differences as you continue. I'm going to go all the way around with this aqua blue. I'm going to make one circular coil, and when I get back to this spot, then I'm going to show you how to start building your walls. So I'll meet you back in just a little bit. Okay, so I have made it all the way back around almost with my aqua blue. Remember, we're wrapping 10, attaching 2, and you can see the pattern that that has started creating as we are weaving. I have changed my yarn, not the color, but the yarn 2 times. I do better if I have a shorter amount of yarn. I see that it tends to get messed up easily or knotted easily when I have too much yarn at a time. So I like to have shorter amounts. I'm going to finish wrapping here and attaching. This might be slightly less than my 10, but now I'm concerned about creating this continuous pattern of color. And we are about ready to start our walls. You can see that that extra row with this aqua has given us about 4 inches for the bottom section. So I'm going to attach one more time. Getting my lines where I want them to be. If you put your needle through and it's not exactly where you want it to be, you just take the yarn off right here and just pull it out and try again. Okay, so I have brought that all the way around, and now we're going to start building the walls. If your wall is going to go straight up, then your bundle is going to actually sit on top of the aqua bundle or whatever color you chose. Whatever the outside coil is, the bundle is going to actually sit on top of that. And you can see how that wall would begin. If your wall is going to be slightly slanted and getting bigger as it goes, then it's going to kind of sit on the side or top edge of that coil. Okay, and it really just depends on what you're wanting. There's not a right or wrong for that. If you chose the coil weaving that is flat with a slight edge at the very end, then you're just going to keep doing what you've been doing. Okay, so we're still wrapping. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see how much easier this is now that we're not dealing with this middle section. It's much easier to hold on, to wrap. 4. And now I'm just going to bring that bundle up slightly, and I'm attaching the same. Notice that now I'm coming to this next coil. No longer am I coming to this coil here, I'm coming to this coil. And continuing. So on this example, I'm going to go with the gradual building of the wall. Knots. The nemesis of weaving. Sometimes you just got to play with it for a few moments. I think I'm actually making it worse. So if something like that happens to you and I just took my yarn out of my needle, and I'm going to see if I can salvage this. If not, sometimes the knot gets so bad, and I even felt like I had my yarn pretty laid out. But sometimes if the knot gets so bad, or if you pull it too tight before you figure things out, then you just gotta cut it. So I actually got that knot out, and I'm gonna try to keep my yarn a little more straight so that doesn't keep happening. I'm attaching and I am building my wall slightly. I'm going to have a gradual raised side. So on this part where you're starting to build your wall, this is where you're just trying to move your coil up, your bundle up, to start making that raised surface going around. Everything else stays the same. And each time you go around that gradual raised surface, we'll just keep building and building as you go. And at first you'll kind of question, am I even doing anything? But then as you continue, we'll just keep going. You can see as I turn it slightly that we've gone from this flat base, and you can see that this bundle is starting to come just on the top side of that. if you created your drawing earlier and you kind of planned out your idea. We talked about whether or not this was going to be decorative, whether this was going to be utilized in the world around you, whether you wanted certain colors because of your favorite colors or your bedroom, whatever you're trying to create. Think about that as you're wrapping and as you're attaching. Do you want to have a color change? For example, I'm getting close to being here where my aqua originally started. So do I want a color change there? Do I want to continue with the aqua? Am I going to start a new color? Am I going to go back to the red and start my pattern, my color pattern? Do I want to introduce a natural element, natural grass or twine? And I can tell just by stopping here that I'm not going to have enough to finish wrapping 10 and attaching 2. So I'm going to stop here on 5. I'm going to put this string down with my bundle, and I'm going to pull more. If you are using the library yarn that we've purchased for you, you might need to go back and get more, as you're seeing that this takes quite a bit of yarn. If you have bought some of your own skeins and you're using your own colors like I am, then you have your supply available. But just let us know if you've run out of the string, the color, and we will try to help you with that. So I am going to lay this flat, and I'm going to start my new, just like we've been practicing. I'm going to hold firmly. If it comes undone, just try again. Eight, 9, 10. I didn't start over, I just continued. I want to be careful with this new long string so I don't knot it again. Pull to the outside. And again. Okay, so once again, you can see the gradual raising of our wall, and I'm just going to continue doing that. You keep working with me, and let's take a moment just to continue building this first part of the wall. Okay, so I have continued building my wall. You should be able to see now the difference between the flat base and the gradual raising of the walls. The walls are once again slightly on the top outside of the coil underneath. And each time I'm attaching to the coil closest. And as you continue to raise your walls, you will continue attaching to the nearest coil that you're working with. So I have 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that gives me about enough to attach. Just enough. I'm going to pull that around so I can hold it easier. Stop for just a minute and get my ending ready. Three, 4, 5, 6, 8. As you're coil weaving, if your hands get tired, take a break. Just set this over to the side. It's really easy to stop and then come back and pick it up. Maybe you enjoy coil weaving while listening to some music. Maybe you're watching a show. After a while, and after you know what you're doing, you've kind of gotten into the rhythm of the piece, and you have a plan with your coil colors, and you know where you're headed, it becomes very rhythmic and very much like stitching or embroidery or cross stitching. It just becomes very rhythmic, and your hands just keep going and going. So you can see the gradual building of our walls. And you are just going to continue with your wrapping and your attaching based on your sketch. Originally, I really didn't know the color scheme that I wanted, so I didn't label my piece. Sometimes I just have to look at what I'm starting with, and then it kind of comes to me on what I would like to create. But following your basic plan, your color pattern, you're going to continue wrapping and attaching to the nearest layer of coils and gradually building your walls. And you can see that I'm pushing my coil up. We're still trying to overlap the coil below at the top side for the gradual basket or weaving, coil weaving. If you are needing to stop or if your hands are getting tired, make sure that you attach first if you're needing to find a stopping place for a time period or for the day. Attach because you can always start your wrapping, but the attach gives you a good kind of point where you can let go. You can see that I'm starting to run out of my cotton bundle. My cotton bundle is not going to make a very large piece. I can even kind of estimate how much further I can go with my gradual walls just by kind of holding it like so. If this is not as large as you were hoping it to be, if you wanted a bigger piece, you can always come to the end of your bundle and then you can go back to the library and get some more. We can cut you some more, and then what I would do is just tape the old bundle to the new bundle and just keep that in a continuous piece as much as possible. So continue building your walls, continue following your color pattern idea. If you are not creating a specific color pattern, if you're going to be more random, then change your colors as you run out. You can change your color every time you run out.